Okay, we're back.
Chaim.
Chaim.
We should actually have a poll on us. Chaim.
Amen.
A few years ago, I was traveling back from Montreal, Canada. And on my way back, my mother has a sister, Mrs. Winkowitz, who's together with her husband, the principals of the Mesivta school in Montreal, Canada, which is quite a large school. It has somewhere between 800 and 1,000 kinderlach students from all ages. So as I was traveling back, I called my aunt, my mother's sister, Mrs. Pesach Minkowitz, my aunt, Mrs. Minkowitz, and I said, Pesach, I'd like to see you, but I'm going to be there late, 11-ish, 12, on the way to the border, back to the United States. I have to go back. Can I come by late? I want to say hello. She said, sure, come by. Whenever you come is fine. I come. Sure enough, the table was set. My aunt and uncle prepared a nice table full of food. And we Farbrengen a little bit. And lots of stories were told that night. But one story stands out in my mind that I would like to share with you. She says when she became a grandmother, my aunt's telling this to me, when my aunt became a grandmother, so as the child became 1 or 2 years old, she calls her son, who shares the same name as I, and she says, you know what, I'm going to come to your house, I'll babysit, and you take your wife out to the restaurant or something, I don't know, go out for the evening. Shine. My aunt is babysitting, and she says, all of a sudden, something in the house smells terribly not clean. After a while, she realized, you got a 2-year-old here, you know, and 2-year-olds have a tricky way of making the atmosphere change a little bit. It's a secret tool, but they use it. And when you use it, you gotta do something. So she says to her grandson, who's only 2 years old, Ziskite, come here. Bubby's going to change you. The kid is 2 years old. So the kid looks at Bubby and says, Bubby, don't change me, change my diaper. My aunt says she was shocked. The kid is 2 years old. But the kid was right. Why are you changing me? What's wrong with me? There's something about me that smells, so take care of it. Get rid of the diaper. My aunt says since then, hundreds of kids over the years have been sent to her office. Principals, you know, so if there's a kid that doesn't behave, you send him to the principal's office. Let the principal deal with this. I mean, someone I'm sure you can relate a little bit, or hopefully you can't, you don't have such issues. But in any case, she says the kid walks into her office and she starts telling them, wow, I know your mother's family, amazing people, your father, your baba, your zayda, your aunts, your uncles. The kid is sitting there, doesn't understand what's going on. I was sent out of the class because I misbehaved. I'm supposed to be receiving a punishment here. And the principal is showering me with compliments. I know this one, I know that one, you're such a good kid. He says, then I say to the kid, listen to me. You're an amazing person. You have so much talent. And I personally have nothing against you. I think you're a great person. But I'm begging you for one favor. Let me tell you a story. Listen to my story. And she repeats the story with a diaper. And she says, listen to me. We as human beings, we schlep around a smelly diaper. So I'm asking you just for one reason. Dump your diaper. Don't bring it back to school anymore tomorrow. It smells. You're a big kid. You don't schlep around your dirty diaper. In a sense, in this little anecdote, I felt like what we sit by Farbrengen a whole night encapsulates the whole idea. We believe as Chassidim that we have mistakes that we have to fix. And let's be honest about it. We made mistakes. Hopefully nobody did, but for those who did, we have to I have to fix my mistakes, take responsibility, fix my mistakes. But what does that mean? We should schlep around our whole life? Always your dirty diaper? Come back to yeshiva tomorrow, clean yourself off, rid yourself from the diaper, and everything is fine. It's not that Chas v'Shalom we're in denial of the wrong, of the mistakes that we have. The whole purpose of Chassidus is Aveda, Medaf Arbeit, Medaf Tan, as the Alter Rebbe said. In Hartzen or mitten Hartzen. It's not an easy job. The bitter of the Golus is not so easy. The Aveda of the Golus, the Shlichus, whichever word you're going to use, it's not easy. But the point is not to come back later and say, here's the diaper. Nobody's interested in the diaper. Dump it. You realize what Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, the geschmackheit that a Yid has, that a Yid is pashut a chelik alikami mal mamish. And as Alter Rebbe says, Perek Lamed Beis, the Eibishter is with every single Yid, and who are you to judge the mile of that Yid? Maybe he has a higher neshama than you have. There's a famous Sikha L'Kutei Sichos, very geschmackes Sikha that I chazed a few times already, to Yidden that never learned Chassidus in their life, and that Pashut blew their mind. They couldn't believe it they were hearing. We're going to soon receive the Aseres Hadibris. Matan Torah, Shavuos. We're now counting Sfira. We're on our way. We're almost approximately at the half point, a little more. So the pasuk says, "Va'atem tiyu li mamlechas kehanim v'goy kodesh." You're going to be a priestly nation and a holy nation. Priestly kingdom and a holy nation. Says Rashi, what's a goy kodesh? What is this? It's a compliment. What is it? So Rashi, if you look at Rashi, Rashi says, you'll be like an Eitzar Tamun bebeis hamelech, like a hidden treasure in the hiding vaults of the king. That's what you are. You're a treasure locked up in a vault somewhere. So what's the value of that? If I can't use it anyway, imagine a guy comes to you today and says, I want to give you a present. $100 million in cash. Wow, that's amazing. I just have one condition I have. I want you to lock it away somewhere deep inside a vault, and don't ever touch it. Just keep it there locked up. It's yours, but keep it locked. You're going to say, I don't know, what are you playing a game with me? What's the point of this present? You're giving me $100 million, and you're telling me I can't use it. So it's useless. Says the Rebbe, that's not true. By a melech, a king needs two types of banking accounts, so to speak. One of them are for the Yortseit to run the kingdom. They're expenses. He's got to run the country. It costs money. The government's got to pay for all the things that the government takes care of. But then the Rebbe says the melech, the king, has to have eitzvis to push it, feel like he's a rich man. I'm a king. If I'm a king, I have to be sitting on billions or trillions, whatever. I got to be a rich person. If I don't have any extra money, so how are you a king? Says the Rebbe, that's the feeling that the Eibishter says when he's talking to Am Yisroel. Yes, it's true. I'm about to give you a Aseres Hadibris, and it comes with Taryag Mitzvahs. It's got a long list. The Shulchan Aruch is big. Even the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch isn't all that small. And Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch is certainly not that small. But at the same time, the Eibishter says, I just want to forewarn you. Don't think that I'm giving you a Torah with mitzvahs, and I'm conditioning, and I'm saying, if you're going to keep my mitzvahs, then I love you. And if you don't, then you're out of the game. First of all, the Eibishter puts down a pasuk. Says Rashi, and I said to these, I said it many times to them, to different groups, obviously, but I said the same thing. I said, imagine, for all of you, Baruch Hashem, that were born, obviously, since you exist, the moment you were born, and the doctor turns to your mother and your father and says, here, you can hold the baby for a few seconds. The baby is a newborn. The nurses have to take care and wrap it and check and so on. But for a few seconds, mother, father, here you have a chance to hold your baby. Holding your baby in your hands. Is there any idiot out there that says, wow, unbelievable. I'm holding a baby, and this kid's going to grow up and be successful in life, and they're going to help me, and they're going to give me nachas. So this was a great investment. I just can't believe what I just did. I brought a baby into the world, and I'm looking forward to the day. I'm so excited because I'm looking forward to the day I'll be nachas hungry. I'll be receiving in return. Sakranke mensch. You ask any person, any parent, what were you thinking when you were holding the baby? Everybody's going to say, who was thinking? I was loving the seconds. I'm holding my own child. That's all. There's nothing to think. It's an emotion. It's a feeling. You're overwhelmed. You make a bracha according to Allah. You thank Hashem for the gift that He gave you. The Eibishter says to Am Yisroel, take a hard look in the mirror. You are the one that the Eibishter says, just having you around is a pleasure. I'm not even worried yet about Torah mitzvahs. And the Rebbe says it clearly. I looked in the Sikha a number of times. The Rebbe says, Noch eider et mekayim gewen Torah mitzvahs, before the Yid even did anything. The Eibishter puts down a rule, a klal, and he says, just remember, I treasure you. I enjoy the fact you exist. Obviously, now that you exist, the Eibishter says, since you're here already, do you mind if you do some Torah mitzvahs while you're at it? I would really appreciate it. And we agree to the deal. It's a schus to do so. Chaz v'shalom to say that it's a precondition, that the Eibishter says, well, I only brought you here because I was looking for nachas. I only had this baby because I was hoping the baby's going to pay back with dividends. It's going to give me nachas. The Alter Rebbe in Tanya, Negeres HaKedesh, towards the end, and I'm quoting this for a double reason. Simon said, Avis Yisroel, and Simon said what's going on, unfortunately, outside, and I don't want to elaborate. We all know what's going on in the world right now. But the Farbrengen, The Alter Rebbe describes where sickness comes from. A fascinating piece of Tanya. It's in Nigeris HaKedesh Lamed Aleph. Alter Rebbe writes like this. How does sickness happen? What happens to a human being? Where does this whole thing begin? Alter Rebbe says, the reason why the sickness happens, sickness and health are the result of blood circulating around the body. It goes out of the heart. I'll read this quickly because it's about 8 lines. The then the Alter Rebbe says, if the blood is circulating properly, to me the then you're healthy. Because the blood is circulating. The blood, unfortunately, is not circulating well, and the life and vitality inside that blood, which gives you life, is also not flowing through the body. As a result of this, unfortunately, the person becomes sick. And then the Alter Rebbe says these words, and then the person falls into sickness and onto the bed. The Rebbe should protect us from that. And the last few words are exactly so is everything by Am Yisrael, by Neshamas Yisrael. So in a strange way, what the Alter Rebbe is saying, you think you're doing somebody else a favor by being nice to them by Am Yisrael? The Alter Rebbe says you're looking at it wrong. Because if you dislike that person at the other side of this circle, of the circulation line, and you create an interruption over there, guess what? The blood on its way back to you is going to be blocked. You're going to be hurt from it. You're going to become sick from it. So what do you want from me? Well, the problem is you need blood to live. But if there's no spiritual blood circulating, the blood isn't coming back to you, you're missing in your chayes. So B'meila says Alter Rebbe, you think you're doing somebody a favor? In intellectual terms, let's be honest, says Alter Rebbe. We're Chabadnikis, Chachma Bina Das. You're helping yourself. Neshamas Yisrael are all united as one, and if you create a problem anywhere, everybody pays the price. And on the other hand, if you fix something somewhere, and you open up a certain blockage, a clogging in one area, you know what? You didn't just help one person. The entire circle of Am Yisrael is benefiting because you just did something. You unclogged one spot, but it's not one spot. Once you unclog that spot, the blood's flowing now freely throughout the entire system. Not long ago, I read a story of 2 Yidden that were walking in Siberia. Now, unfortunately, as you know, there were many thousands of Yidden that were sent off to Siberia. And they got lost overnight, and they ended up in a forest. Siberia is lots of it is full of forest. And it was freezing, it was winter. And one of them says to the other, middle of the night, it's so cold. The Shliach in Yakutsk, Siberia, I was there in Yakutsk on Shavuos time. Then it's not hot, but it was warm. Relatively, it was okay. With a little coat, you can easily walk, or maybe even without a coat. But in dead winter, it's dead winter. It's cold. You can't survive. The Shliach in Yakutsk said you can be outside between 20 to 20 minutes max. After 20 minutes, your body simply cannot tolerate the cold unless you're prepared with lots of heavy blankets and so on. But in regular clothing, you're not going to survive it. It's too cold. The kids said these 2 Yidden got stuck walking through a forest. It's in the middle of the night. And as warm as they were dressed, their bodies could not deal with the temperature. So in the middle of the night, one of them fell to the ground on the snow. If anybody ever studied some basic first aid, which we all study in Gan Yisrael, they teach you the basics at least. If you're freezing, the body eventually stops circulating the blood. And unfortunately, if that keeps on happening, the person turns into an ice popsicle. It's freezing. It's frozen. So one of them says to the other, do me a favor. Rub me down. Keep on massaging me so my blood doesn't freeze up, and therefore the circulation will continue. And he did so. And he kept on doing this throughout the night. In the morning, they were screaming, and somebody heard their voice, and they brought a doctor, and the doctor took over from there, and they saved this person. So one friend, the friend that was doing all the work the whole night, says to the doctor, you know, doctor, with all due respect to you, but you think you saved him. The truth is, if I didn't work on him all night, you wouldn't have a patient now to save. So the credit is at least equally mine, just as much as it's yours. The doctor wasn't a fool. He says, buddy, if you didn't work on him all night, what do you think would have happened to you? You would have frozen also. The fact is, because you were busy all night massaging him, so you saved his life, and then I took over. But the truth is, while you were helping him, you were saving your own life. So when we're talking now about helping Am Yisroel and having Avos Yisroel, we need to realize it's much deeper than what we think. I remember a quick story when I first came to Westchester County, early on. So it was in the early 90s, the mid 90s. I'm not sure when this story exactly happened. It was some, because I remember where I was, so it must have been somewhere in the 90s. And the phone rang. It was 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. The phone, and I'm standing there going through the mail, hoping there are some donations that came in that you got to pay for Chabad activity also. I'm going through the mail, and the phone rings. I take the phone, and I'm like going through, and I hear the crying voice of a man. It sounds like 50 years old, approximately. Middle-aged guy, not too young, not too old. Crying terribly. I said, hello, can I help? He says, is there a rabbi there? I said, go ahead, can I help you in any way? He says, Rabbi, I'm not a religious man, but twice a year I go to shul besides Yom Kippur. His mother's Yortseit and his father's Yortseit. And every year he checks off on the calendar the exact days of when the Hebrew date corresponds to the Goyish date, so he knows exactly what date it is. And he goes to shul and he says Kaddish. He says, I'm looking at the calendar right now and I'm realizing I made a mistake. I checked off the wrong date. It's not tonight and tomorrow. It's like Yom Kippur. It started last night and today. And now it's dark in New York. And here I am in Scarsdale, New York, where my office was. And he says, what do I do? I didn't know what to say to him. So I asked him, like, I'm not sure, like, what do you want? You're calling me for a reason. He says, yes, what does Judaism say that I should do as a son if I missed Kaddish? I must admit to you, I hope you guys are better Talmidim than I was. I never remember coming across such a thing in anything that I ever learned. Never. Later, I looked it up. It does say. But for the most part, you missed it. Yortseit is Yortseit. There's something special. The day the Yortseit in the Shema goes up another Madrega to Gan Eden. I didn't know what to say to him. I'm like thinking in my mind, I can tell him, make a kiddush on Shabbos, come to Chabad house, make a kiddush, give money to tzedakah, make 3 somersaults, dance achsidish shenikim. We can come up with lots of interesting ideas. But that wasn't his question. He missed Yortseit. There are moments in life that every shliach will tell you, you can feel that you became smarter and you can't even convince yourself that it's thanks to you. There's something going on. A flash came through my mind. I said, can I put you on hold? Put him on hold. And I remembered when I was bar mitzvah, or the year later, for summer camp, got that year, Gan Yisroel, I went to Big Bear Mountain by Rabbi Shlomo Kunin. And I remember that they're 3 hours behind New York. So I said to myself, wait a second. If the sun set in Westchester, New York, let me chase the sun down. Let's see if I can catch it in California. And if I catch it in California, I'll ask somebody to say Kaddish. V'shalom al Yisrael, as they say. I opened up the Anash list, the Tzach list. I was sitting on my desk. I look up, see, California. I find Erol Chanan Chabad. I figured, and it says Yeshiva student payphone or student phone in the listing there. I said, oh, great. In the yeshiva, in the zal, I'll call the students, I'll call the Bachrim. I'll ask somebody, there's a mincha, make up some mincha, find somebody, and ask somebody to say Kaddish. Somebody picks up, and I said to him, I'm sorry to ask, do you guys daven yet? He says, what? Mincha or Ma'ariv? I said, mincha. He says, mincha. Mincha was already. It's almost Ma'ariv. We're about to daven. It's dark here. I said, thank you very much. And I hang up. I'm thinking to myself, well, that's gone. But I reminded myself that we all learned the Sikha Takenau relating to Sfiras Eimer about the Kava Tairich, the international date line which crosses over Greenwich. And there, if you're standing on one side of the line, it's tomorrow. If you're standing on this side, it's still today. So I knew, one second, if I go too far, if I go to Australia, for example, too far into the Pacific, it's tomorrow. I missed it. And I reminded myself, took a class in Oholei Torah in geography, so I reminded myself, Hawaii is an island that's on this side of the international date line, on the Kava Tairich. I call quickly Hawaii. I call the Chabad house. Ishel Krasniansky's secretary picks up. And I ask her, I'm sorry, it's a little bit important, it's urgent, somebody on the other phone, is the rabbi available? So she says, yes, but if you don't mind, can you call back in about 15 minutes? But I have this guy on the phone and he's crying, so I said, you don't mind me asking, what's the rabbi doing now? She says, he's finishing the prayers, but call back in 10, 15 minutes. I realized he's finishing the prayers, he's davening mincha, he has a minyan in the Chabad house for mincha. I said to myself, be careful how you say this, because you can scare him. You tell a guy overseas or far away, please come grab the phone, somebody in New York must talk to you urgently. God forbid, you can cause people to start thinking all types of very not happy thoughts. What's the emergency? So I remember saying to her these words, tell the rabbi, everybody's healthy in New York, there's no problems. But I need to talk to him before he finishes the afternoon prayers. Short message. Rabbi Yisroel Krasniansky is a smart man. He picks up the phone and he says these words, Kaddish for who? He obviously figured out from the message, what do you need? You're in New York, you got to talk to me, everybody's healthy, you got to figure out. I gave him the name, at the conference, the call. I tell this guy that's on the phone, whom I never met until today, we didn't have caller ID in those days, I have no idea who I spoke to. And I say to him, I have Rabbi Krasniansky in Chabad House of Hawaii, where it's still daytime. If you make him your agent, your proxy, your representative, then he'll say Kaddish for you and you're good to go. You didn't miss anything. The person started to cry. It was gut-wrenching to hear those cries, but it was a cry of like happiness. He couldn't believe what the Rebbe just pulled off. And I say the word Rebbe for a reason. It wasn't that I did it. It was the Rebbe gave me a bissel of seichel for a few seconds so you can have it. It left after that. But at least for those few seconds, and he took the Kaddish and he said, Yisroel says, I'm sorry, I got to run back to the minyan. And he hung up and that was the end of the conversation. I'm standing there frozen. I'm thinking to myself, look what just happened. There's a Yid in New York who's mamish crying, literally. And he's saying, God, the world is dark. It's unbelievable. It's over. I botched up. What do we do now? And you can't even argue with him. He's right. It is dark outside. Telling him that it's not dark is a lie. Comes along the Rebbe and says, relax. Go down to California. Look at the sun from the other angle. You'll see it shining. Oh, I'm sorry, not California. Keep on going. Go to Hawaii. But somewhere you're going to stand in a Chabad house and you're going to see the sun is shining brightly. Shabbos, that Shabbos, I remember it came to the Maftir Haftarah. We hear it every week. And that week, I'm paying attention and something like jumps out of the siddur at me. After the Maftir is said, there's brachas that are said, if you pay attention to the words. And we say, Samcheinu Hashem Elokeinu B'Elyono V'Yavdechu B'Malchus V'Dav Mishachecha V'Meir Yav Yagel Lebeinu Al Kisi LaYeshev Zav Le'In Chalavei D'Cheirem Eskeveidei Ki V'Shem Katshecha Nishbaita Loi Shelayich B'Nei Rei La'Elam Void. You promised David HaMelech. You promised Mashiach. You promised the Rebbe Shelayich B'Nei Rei La'Elam Void. His candle will never go out. It'll always shine brightly. But who makes sure that that candle shines brightly? It's the Shliach in Hawaii. In the middle of an afternoon that has no idea what he just did. He saved the aggravation of another Yid who thought that he missed everything, that he took him from darkness to light. What's the Rebbe telling us? He's saying, my dear children, you're going to hit moments, it's going to be dark outside. There was a Levaya here today. There's no way of pretending. It is dark. Let's not kid ourselves. But the Rebbe says, I know it's dark, but don't chas v'shalom give up. It's Deir HaShvi. We're on a mission and we're going to make it. The Rebbe talks so much about Mashiach. One thing recently I heard it, but it's not often spoken of. The Rebbe talks about the Golus HaChitzeni and the Golus HaPnimi. There's the world, and then there's me and my Golus. What's the Rebbe asking us? In every single one of us, there's a spark of Mashiach, Nitzutz Mashiach. Are you shining to the most beautiful way you can be? You come home and your parents look and say, wow, why are you beaming today? You look so excited. What happened? You came back from yeshiva. What happened? When you polish up your inside and you start shining from the inside and you're maximizing your own potential. You guys are teenagers all over the world, teenagers all over the United States, certainly. And especially in the rich counties and the rich towns, I can tell you firsthand, people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars extra on a school district, on a home in a school district, because the kid is going to have a better education there and they will make it into a better college. And it's all about the teenagers, because when they're 3 and 4 years old, it's not going to make such a big difference. But when they're teenagers and they're going through high school, this is critical, because this is going to decide Which college you're going to make it? Harvard or Princeton or Yale? Or you're going to make it into some third-grade college? If the lahavdil of the goyish welt is consumed to maximize their teenage years, we chayolim of the Rebbe's kinderlach, that are sitting right in the Rebbe's neighborhood, with all the Rebbe's brachas, the Rebbe is begging us, Mashiach is coming. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you the best you can be? It's not a slogan. The Rebbe is asking us to become the best that we can. Whatever chush you have. There isn't a bacher that's right now on this Zoom, not one, that doesn't have a talent in something. It doesn't exist. One guy can sing well, one can be artistic, one is brilliant, can be a magid, this guy can be a mashpia. One guy can be a computer genius. So we'll have to chabad us in the computers. The other guy's a friendly guy. You can do friendship. You can do 1,000,002 things. There's so many things that the Rebbe's network requires. There's nothing today that we can say, no, this guy in this situation, this bacher is useless. It's a ridiculous state. It's not even that nice. It's stupid. There's no such thing. Everybody has his milas, his chushim, his kishrenis. Shailas, Mashiach is about to come. We're counting sfira. We're polishing our sfira, our midas, perfecting ourselves. It should shine like an Evan Sapir. Let's make sure we do it. So allow me to conclude with this. They tell the famous story of two Jewish tailors in Europe. And it's summertime and it's hot and they're schwitzing and there's no air conditioning. And they're sitting there, needle and thread. There's no machines. They're doing this by hand. And they're both sewing and they're having a hard time to make a living. But one stitch at a time, they're sewing and they're making their way through. And they're going to make a few ruble at the end of the week when they give the garment to whoever ordered it. And they'll have some parnasa for the family. One day, one of the partners of the two partners working in this tailor shop walks into the tailor shop in the morning. He's singing and bouncing off the walls. His friend says to him, what happened to you? What are you so excited about? He says, don't ask. Yesterday, in the shtibel that I go to from Mincha Ma'ariv, after I left the shop, the rabbi gave a shir to Mincha Ma'ariv, and he was reading, and he said to us that Am Yisroel believes in Tchias HaMeisim. And he started to explain the whole arichas what Tchias HaMeisim is, and Gilgulim, and the Neshamas come up, and then the Neshamas go down. Reincarnation, resurrection of the dead. This whole thing is fascinating. The Neshamas are going to come back to life. He said, it made me think. I was thinking to myself, there are so many hundreds of thousands of Yidden that died throughout Jewish history. And when Mashiach is going to come, the rabbi just said clearly that they're going to wake up from their graves. Clearly, they don't have any clothing with them. So they're going to have to come to the tailor shop, and they're going to have to order new clothing. So all the Jews from our neighborhood, from our region, are going to come to our shop. We're going to become very rich. To which his friend says, you're such an idiot. All the tailors that ever lived in our town are also going to come back to life. We're going to have a lot of competition. The Rebbe tells us Mashiach is coming. Some choose to see, but we're going to have competition. Chassidim sind kluger. Chassidim are smart. They don't hear competition. They hear Mashiach's coming. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to start seeing the world differently. I mentioned to you before, I was in the summer camp. Every time that I Baruch Hashem have a chance to go somewhere to talk for a Chabad house or wherever it may be, you leave Kennedy Airport and you're sitting in your seat and you're squashed in your seat there in the airport on the airplane. You look out and you see Manhattan, the skyline's tall. You're thinking to yourself, I do this every single time. I even videoed it just for my own mind. Everybody's entitled to their own shtick, as we say. Look out the window and you see Manhattan's skyline. Imagine if somebody said to you, if you take one of those buildings, I'll give you $100 million in cash. I would say, something, I can do a lot of good things with $100 million in cash, but where in the world am I going to put that building? There's no room here. Count 3 minutes. 3 times 60, that's all. 60, 120, 180, that's all. Count 180 seconds from when the plane takes off, when the wheels leave the ground. Take another look at Manhattan. What do you see? You see a little Lego box that I can put the whole thing under my seat. And I'm saying to myself, wait a second, where was that guy that offered me $100 million to take a building? I want to take not one, I want to take 1,000 buildings because I'll be a trillionaire. What changed? Manhattan shrunk? It was magic? I went up in the air and all of a sudden in 3 minutes, look what happened to Manhattan. It went into the dryer and it shrunk. Manhattan didn't shrink. Du hast dich aufgehoben. You went to Farbrengen. You raised yourself. You're 28,000 feet of altitude up in the air. From 28,000 feet, you look down, you see a different perspective. Now it's dual. When the Rebbe says to us, Hine Mashiach Bod, the Rebbe is saying, guys, stop looking at it from Golish perspective. And you'll see the whole thing differently. And you'll realize that you could do it, not that somebody else can do it. You'll realize that you're capable, that you were the one that always blocked your own success because you never believed, I'm shaykh to do this. The Rebbe should help that the schus of this Farbrengen should be the last Farbrengen in Golus. And we should take it from Miyad Mamish, be able to be zeicha, to dance with the Rebbe Kipshutei. The Bias Mashiach Tzidkeinu, when it's Gezanzach with the Rebbe Dolomata, V'hu Yigaleinu. L'chaim.
Amen. L'chaim, l'chaim.